Hola a todo el mundo y bienvenido a mi canal. Yo me llamo Desiree. Soy una abogada afro-latina licenciada practicando la ley de criminales, pero como todos ustedes, a mí me fascina cuando estamos hablando de casos de crímenes reales. En este video vamos a empezar de hablar de Nolan Wells. Si quieren más video en español, nada más dime allá abajo. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Desiree. I'm a licensed and practicing Afro-Latina criminal attorney who, much like the rest of you, has a severe fascination with true crime cases. Listen, you guys, unless you have been living under the proverbial true crime blind rock, you've heard about this case. And you know what? I should say you've heard about this story because I don't believe as the making of this video that anyone has been formally charged yet, right? But you've heard about the mysterious disappearance of a young man by the name of Nolan Wells. And it just happened for 4th of July or on 4th of July, which was almost a month ago at this point. I have been holding off on making any videos regarding Nolan Wells' disappearance for you guys, just because there's a lot of speculation, a lot of online chatter, a lot of unconfirmed suspicions, right? And I just want to make sure that when I bring you information, it comes from any sort of verifiable, quantifiable source. Unfortunately, I don't have that to provide to you guys today because, again, this is just a pending investigation. We don't have a lot of stuff to go off of, but I will let you know what I've been able to ascertain as of now, okay? So if you guys will just bear with me, let's go ahead and get started on our coverage of Nolan Wells.
I just know I've lost my best friend.
This morning, a friend of Nolan Wells, who was with the 18-year-old the day he was last seen alive, is sharing what he says happened during a July 4th boat trip to an isolated barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Trayston Shepard declined to speak with us on camera because he says he and his friends are getting threats.
We did no wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind it. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short.
Shepard addressed this viral video that investigators have been studying. Wells's parents worried it showed their son involved in a confrontation, but Shepard said that's him, not Wells.
That's the video I'm referring to. That's me yelling.
Shepard says he took a boat back from Horn Island in the late afternoon, but Wells stayed behind with a girl he had met.
They met that day, and it was kind of one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they'd ever hung out was at Horn Island on July 4th.
Investigators believe Wells drowned and say there were no immediate signs of foul play. But there is growing frustration in the community, and his parents are skeptical, telling GMA Wells left his phone behind and they tracked it to one of his friends.
It was showing everywhere the phone had been, I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land.
The sheriff said the parents have not turned over the phone to investigators. Their lawyers said they will. While the investigation goes on, Trayston Shepard wants the focus on his friend.
I want everybody just to relax and let everybody mourn the loss of Nolan and let us remember him as in, the sweet guy. I think everybody needs to let the investigation continue and let the facts be shown.
Okay, you guys. So for those of you who have not heard about this case at all, that's fine. But let me just go ahead and give you just a little bit of background before we get started into what exactly I want to discuss for this video, okay? So first, Nolan Xavier Wells, I believe his middle name was Xavier, was born on August 19th of 2007 in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. At the time of his disappearance and confirmed passing, he was 18 years old, and he had taken a trip on July 4th to celebrate the holiday with some friends, and they went to Horn Island, and then all of a sudden, they were out on a boat. Friends have confirmed that Nolan went out on the boat with them, but then they claimed that Nolan didn't get back on the boat, and then he died, and his body was found a couple of days later.
Now a new video of what appears to be Nolan Wells and maybe the last image before his death after that 4th of July boat trip with friends in Mississippi. Here's CBS News correspondent Skylar Henry with details.
This video obtained by TMZ shows the back of a black man on a boat during a large party on July 4th. The man is wearing blue swim trunks, similar to this photo of Nolan Wells that was also taken that day 10 miles off of Mississippi's coast. Those in the group Wells was with told authorities they last saw him around 3 p.m., 30 minutes after the video was taken. They say he chose to stay behind for a girl. His mother reported him missing later that night, and his body was discovered 2 days later.
There were so many people. I mean, boats, they were like on top of each other almost. Like, I mean, it was intense.
Wells's college classmate, Lucas Aviz, was with family and friends on a different boat that day.
He may have been taken by the current. There's a certain part of the island where the current is pretty strong.
While authorities say there's been no indication of foul play, Wells's family has publicly questioned the transparency of the investigation and hired a legal team led by attorney Ben Crump.
When people start to feel pressured, if they say anything, it's going to be attacked. No. Tell us. We want to evaluate every aspect.
On Monday, at a packed funeral for Wells, his heartbroken parents spoke.
We will miss everything about him, from his quiet nature to the corny jokes, his gentle smile.
A $125,000 reward is being offered to anyone with information that'll lead to an arrest and conviction in Wells's death.
Now, without getting any further into my opinions, just specifically about Nolan's mysterious disappearance, can I just chat with you guys about my overall impressions on how the family has been treated, or the family of Nolan Wells more specifically, has been treated throughout this investigation? Because it's quite jarring. So just bear with me, okay? So, initially, it is my understanding, and you guys are free to correct me if I'm wrong, because again, there's so many stories going around about this case, but initially it is my understanding that after Nolan's disappearance, they went back and told his family, like, oh, it was just an accidental drowning, and that's that. No charges, move on with your life, move on with your day, carry on.
Nolan's parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley, join me now with counsel, Ben Crump. Thank you for joining us. I'm very sorry it's under these circumstances, but the job here is to give you a platform to keep people aware of your concerns. And Christine, I'll start with you. At this point, what is your biggest question about what's happening with this investigation?
It is really the same question that started it all, which is what happened to Nolan. That is the only question that we want answered. We just want to know what happened to our son. I know I personally, through my social media, also attorney Ben and his team through their social media, that's been the big focus, just trying to make sure that everyone understands that at the end of the day, we would want what any parent would want, which is answers to find out what happened.
Do you believe, or do you have any reason to believe, that this investigation is doing exactly what you want it to do?
Sure. Well, we know at the beginning they started out saying there was no foul play even before there was any investigation, Chris. So that was a concern to them at day one.
That was the trigger for why we felt we had to go this route, because it wasn't even hours after they had found his body where I'm watching on the news that the sheriff is saying likely an accidental drowning. We do not feel there's any foul play, but yet stories are not lining up. And so from there, that's why we're here now.
Elmore, again, I really don't know how you guys are holding it together and being able to stay focused. But I'm here for it as long as there is the need. When you look at this situation, what is your darkest concern that you just want to make sure isn't true?
I've already live my darkest concern. We just want the truth. We just want someone to be brave enough to stand up and give us the truth. We can't grieve the way we need to because we're being disrespected. We're being called all kind of racist, bad parents. We were not raised like that, and we did not raise our children like that. So we just want the truth. Any parent would want that. Any father would want that.
And I think it is to be purposely obtuse, to not try to understand the plight of this mother. And that is regardless of the color of her skin. Before any of you little trolls and little chatterboxes and little internet gangsters and keyboard warriors want to get into my comment section and say that I'm just defending her because she's Black. Let's stop that right now. Let me tell you this. If you've been here long enough, you've probably heard me say it, or if you've watched enough of my videos, you've probably heard me say it. But I'm not a mother. I do not have children. I have not experienced pregnancy. That is not a part of my life, right? And I say that to say, despite that, I think we can all empathize, or should all be able to empathize with the plight of a mother just searching for answers as to what happened to her child. Full stop, period. Full stop, period. I think that from what I have seen, and I have also heard that she's been getting threats. I haven't been able to see those, so I haven't been able to verify that, but I've heard that she's been receiving threats merely because she's questioning what happened to her son, and she wants more of an investigation, and she's probing into answers because she needs answers as to what happened to her son. And I think to try to intentionally vilify this woman because she wants to know what happened to her kid is weird. That's weird behavior. That is not something I would do to anyone merely searching for answers. All she wants is answers, right? And I've heard other sources be like, well, the friends already said that he stayed back on the boat in the water because he was with some girl, Katie. So you should just take the friend's word for it and just move on. And I just don't think it's as cut as dry as that. I don't. I think, hopefully everything after the investigation reveals that there was no foul play into Nolan's death. But I think it is her right as the mother to ask these questions. I mean, let's just stop and just think to ourselves. If your family, your mom and your dad, and your family, if they're not your strongest advocates or your biggest advocates and your strongest support systems, who is supposed to be? I think this mother is doing exactly what she should do. I commend her for trying to seek answers into the disappearance and obviously now death of her son, trying to figure out what happened here. And I don't know. I think it's strange that people are questioning why she would do that. I think it's very odd because I think most of us, if we were in a similar position, would have similar questions. Okay? So let's just keep that in mind, but let's go ahead and carry on. All right, you guys. So I saw that a few of Nolan's friends did do an interview and they sat down and they talked about what happened on that day on the water and at the island, right? I'm going to save my commentary on their specific interviews for another video. For this video specifically, I just want to talk about some of the conflicting information, let's call it, that has been put out here about Nolan's disappearance, right? So let's first start with the fact that his friends had previously said that Nolan did not go back on the boat with them and he stayed on the water to be with some girl, Katie, right? Now, relatively recently, a call has been released that seems to contradict that. Before I go any further in my opinions on the call, let me go ahead and let you guys hear the entirety of this call for yourselves.
To connect you.
CTO Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles?
What'd
Hello?
you say? Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership like guaranteed. I don't
All
have
right,
the tag on
unless
here.
you have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at 2.
All right, and is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right, do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
All right. All right, do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
If not, I can send you a text message.
North. All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm available.
North 30 degrees by 4672.
All right, 4672. All right, and you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio?
No, we do not have the VHF radio.
All right, well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
All right, looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right, is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We are sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
No, we're not aground. We are in
Okay.
17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
All right, have to ask. What do you want to do? Do you want to be towed back?
I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes.
All right, where would you like it towed to, sir?
You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor, or Fort Bayou Launch.
All right, how many adults and children on board?
No, there's no children.
So, is there anybody on board? How many adults, sir? That was the question.
Where is this?
Hello, can you hear me?
Try to jump in and pull the plug while you're going.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yep, I just need you to answer these questions so I can get you over to the captain.
Okay.
How many
what's
adults
going
on board?
There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Hello?
Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat?
Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
All right, how many people, sir?
Like 7.
All right, thank you. Does everyone have life jackets on or available to them?
Yes, we have life jackets available.
All right, verify what boat's sinking.
A Triton, 22 foot offshore, 22 foot Triton offshore sea flight hull.
All right. All right. Please hold. I'm transferring you to the local captain now.
Okay, thank you.
This is Captain Seth.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee for service come up under Um, the, it sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking, and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So he said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18. And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Do you know what kind of boat it is?
He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat. And he said,
okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back. So I'm guessing that they may have figured it out, because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank.
Yeah, they're in a panic. He's saying the bilge is not keeping up. I asked for Coast Guard. He said no, but he's just really upset on the back end. And, I get it. It's a kid. He just doesn't understand.
Oh, okay. Do you still have him on the line?
Yes, I still have him on the line. And, again, I couldn't find he couldn't give me anything regarding his grandfather's, membership, so it's just under fee for service.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just talked to if you want to, we're so tied up right now. We can't really do any non-member jobs right now.
Is he a member? Did you find out if he was a member or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's his boat or what. I'm not sure what's going on with it. But yeah, transfer the kid over. I'll talk to him, and then I'll call his grandpa back as well.
All right. And did you want me to look up membership number or anything like that to see if he's up? I know you guys are
You can try this cell phone number.
Yes, sir.
Anything on this phone number?
All right. Yep. He's an active member. Hold on.
What kind of boat do you have on there? Same boat?
Yeah, he's one of your members. Yep, 22-foot Triton. All right. I'll just disregard this one. I'm going to send you over an accurate one under this one, okay? He's one of your members. You'll get in a couple minutes, okay?
Okay, perfect. All right. And, just transfer this kid over whenever you get a chance.
All right, transferring now. Thank you again, Captain.
All right.
Stay safe out there. It's crazy. Have a drink.
Oh, it's wild. All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello? Hello? Are you there? I apologize. I will be disconnecting due to lack of response.
Okay, you guys, so that call is said to have been released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. And the reason I said is said to have been released is because that is the source that they claim it came from, but I have not been able to independently verify that. As you guys know, I like to go directly to the source and find it for you guys and show you guys how I gathered the information. And like I said, I haven't been able to do that just yet. I'm going to keep doing my due diligence, and I'm going to keep researching and try to push for more answers and more accountability and see if we're able to get this specific call directly from the source. And if I am, I will share it for all of you guys, or with all of you guys to listen to, right? The reason I am saying that or providing that little disclaimer is because I have seen a lot of online chatter about how this was not an actual call that was actually made, and how it was a falsified call and this was AI and it's not verified and blah-de-blah, bloody-blue. I want to be able to dispel that. But as of right now, let's just assume that this call is not fictitious. Let's assume that this is the actual call that was actually placed by someone that was actually on the boat and was actually a part of Nolan's party. Okay, let's assume all of these facts are true. I think if we assume all of those things are true, it discredits the story of Nolan's friend saying that he did not return on the boat back with them, right? Because if you listen closely to this call, which was placed around approximately 4 p.m., in the background, you can hear people saying something about Nolan, don't die, stay with us, something to the effect, and don't quote me, but just listen closely. And I think, yeah, now, given that that call was placed several hours before he was reported missing, and then the claims later are, well, he didn't return on the boat with us, just seem inconsistent. But let me know what you guys think. You know, another thing I want to tell you guys about the call, because I'm just going to be frank with you guys in pretty much everything that I share with you guys, and just even more opinionated than I feel like I have been. I did not like the demeanor, the tenor, the tone, the vocalization, I don't know, of the woman who was taking the call. I didn't appreciate that. I felt like she was giving this young boy attitude and saying stuff like, well, that's not what I asked. Please answer the questions like I asked. It was a bunch of attitude for someone who is telling you that they are sinking. What? I don't know if she's being further looked into for her performance in this case, but I think she should be. I think the fact that she tried to chalk it up, you know, when she was talking to the captain in the second version of that same call that we listened to, as, you know, they're just kids, they don't understand. I'm a grown woman and I don't understand. Help me understand. If I'm sinking and you're supposed to provide assistance and I'm calling you, clearly I'm in a panic. Clearly I'm emotional. Clearly my life is flashing before my eyes. And your response to me is just like, wow, like, I don't know. I think for people who have positions like that, who are supposed to empathize, for you not to empathize in a situation like this is insane. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Okay, you guys, another thing that I think we need to discuss are the autopsies that were conducted on Nolan Wells's corpse, right? So let's just talk about that. I know that there was a private autopsy that was conducted by Nolan Wells's family, right? They commissioned for a private autopsy to be conducted. It's my understanding that the cause and manner of death within that autopsy, or the autopsy report or whatever, was determined to be undetermined and pending investigation. Okay. It's also my understanding that the state conducted an autopsy and it has been completed, but they're not releasing the results as of yet, which does make sense at this specific time. It's also my understanding that the state said that they're going to send the autopsy off for a grand jury, you know, to look at it to determine if charges can be placed against any single individual, right? And at that point, they might release it to us for public review, you know? Anyways, let's talk about what all of that means. Okay, you guys, if you've been here with me long enough, you've heard me say this numerous times before, but I'm going to repeat myself because I love being your broken record and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, right? When we're talking about autopsies and when we're talking about cause and manner of death, although all professionals, myself included, use it as one joint statement, those are two separate things, okay? So just make sure we understand that, right? So a cause of death is how the death occurred, and the manner is like the method by which it occurred, if that makes sense. So just to explain it a little bit further, the cause of death could be asphyxia and the manner of death is homicide. The cause of death could be strangulation and the manner of death suicide, right? So it's basically like, how did this happen and by what method did it happen, right? So basically what they're telling us here is they don't know yet. They don't have enough information to opine as to either of those things yet, and it's still pending further investigation. I am curious to see what the autopsy findings for the autopsy that was conducted by the state says. And you know, according to them, they're waiting for grand jury to review it, this, that, and the third. If you haven't been with me long enough, you don't know my explanation of grand juries, but basically grand juries are just a separate charging mechanism that the prosecution uses. That's the oversimplified version of it, right? So the grand jurors are there, they review the evidence, and they determine whether or not they believe there's enough probable cause for charges to be filed in a specific case, if that makes sense. So if it is a traditional grand jury, because we learned about special grand juries in David's case, right? But if it's a traditional grand jury, that is what the district attorney is saying to us, or the Mississippi State officials are saying to us, that they're waiting so they can send it off for grand jury review, determine if, charges are going to be filed, and then eventually they may release it to us, right? I want to know your thoughts on that. Because I, just off of first impression, think that's a little inconsistent with what the family was told previously, which is that this was a drowning, right? Because I believe that if it was a, open and shut, close cut drowning, it would have said that. It wouldn't have been undetermined. It would have been like, no, he drowned, right? Do you know what I'm saying? And that's not what this says. It says undetermined and there needs to be more investigation, which is wholeheartedly different from the closed-ended statement that was provided of this was a drowning, move on. Okay? But I want your thoughts on it. Tell me what you think about that specific, like the preliminary findings, and what do you think about the fact that 2 different autopsies were conducted, right? I don't shame, nor do I blame, nor do I disparage anyone within the Wells family for wanting to take justice into their own hands by, funding sources or finding ways for investigations to fully be complete. I don't blame them. So I'm not asking your opinion about the 2 different autopsies. I'm just asking, what are your opinions about the autopsy findings that we have as of now? So go ahead and let me know.
Out of the mystery surrounding the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells, who died during a boat trip to an island with friends. Tonight, what an independent autopsy now says. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the agonizing wait for answers for the parents of Nolan Wells after the autopsy they commissioned found the cause and manner of the 18-year-old's death to be undetermined.
There's so many people out in the public asking all of these questions, but the only question that we have is what happened to our son.
Wells vanished during a July 4th boat trip to a remote barrier island, and his body was recovered 2 days later. Tonight, sources telling ABC News, Wells was found wearing only swim trunks face down in the water, consistent with a drowning. The state's autopsy is still pending. The family autopsy found there were no fractures or deep tissue injuries, but described an area of red discoloration on the back of his head.
That's a signal to me that the pathologist is not certain that it's due to trauma. Discoloration can happen from lots of different things, and especially in a decomposed body, discoloration could just be a consequence of decomposition.
The pathologist said he could not observe the airway and lungs for water because the Mississippi medical examiner had already removed organs and part of the neck, pointing out that is common practice.
Even though it tells us significant information, we still have more questions than we have answers at this time.
Officials in Mississippi say once the autopsy report is complete with toxicology results, the DA will present it to a grand jury. It's not clear when it will be released to the public. David?
Pierre Thomas in Washington. Pierre, thank you.
A major update in the Nolan Wells investigation. The state autopsy has now been completed. The findings have not been released publicly, and Nolan's family is now working with the district attorney's office to schedule a meeting to discuss the report. That's according to their attorney. The report will also go before a grand jury, which will determine whether the evidence supports criminal charges. At the same time, the family's legal team is continuing to pursue records from social media companies as they work to piece together exactly what happened. And to me, this is an important moment in this case. For weeks, there have been theories, rumors, and speculation. Now we wait to see what the state autopsy shows and where the evidence leads. Here's what Nolan's mother, Christine Wells, told me when she joined me for the show this morning in an exclusive interview.
I would like for everyone to just do their job. I would like for everyone to treat this as if this was their child or their family member and give us the same honesty, transparency, and respect that they would expect for them or their family.
Now, I've said from the very beginning, patience isn't weakness. It's how you get to the truth. We're going to keep following every development and make sure you follow us for updates.
The Jackson County Sheriff believes Nolan Wells died from an accidental drowning. The state medical examiner's office has now completed its autopsy, which lays out the official cause and manner of death.
The medical examiner would know that it was a drowning because the water would be in your lungs. If there's no water present, then it wasn't a drowning, it was something else.
Authorities now plan to send the autopsy findings to a grand jury, but a former Hinds County prosecutor familiar with the grand jury process believes investigators would want to submit additional information other than the autopsy so the grand jury could decide whether someone could face criminal charges in connection to Wells' death.
Maybe this is going to be a grand jury process that may take a day or a couple days, where they have people coming in to testify. All of the witnesses, who were there on that day may have seen, Nolan Wells, and they want to get their testimony, in front of the grand jury.
An independent autopsy commissioned by Wells' family found his death to be undetermined. The state crime lab didn't send Wells' throat and windpipe for the other pathologist to examine.
Of course, we heard, from Attorney Ben Crump about the throat being missing. They would look at things like that. I think if there was maybe trauma to the throat, that would say a little bit more.
The grand jury process is secret. Attorney Jasmine Davis says there's no limit for how long they could gather behind closed doors to consider any evidence. They could meet for months and in the end agree with the autopsy about how Nolan Wells died or come up with a completely different conclusion. Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
Okay, you guys, let's next talk about Nolan's phone. Okay. It's my understanding that, I guess according to his friends, Nolan didn't have service, connection, whatever, while they were down on the island, right? And so his mother requested that his phone be provided back. She found that a lot of information was missing out of his phone, specifically like no Snapchats, no photos, no anything of that sort. And she questioned that, which again, I feel like is her right to do. Okay. And I think that, questioning led to some conflicting information. Okay. As I mentioned previously, I know that interviews were conducted with Nolan Wells's friends, and they were able to tell their side of the story, which I'm not mad at. Everyone's a kid here. I'm not mad at it. I think the issue is that we're just wanting more investigation to be done. Like, what actually happened to Nolan is the overall question, right? So the friends could be telling the exact truth. We don't know that yet. They could be deceiving us. We don't know that yet. I think with the consistencies or inconsistencies, that are occurring here, it's only right that we push for more investigation and more answers. But anyways, all that to say, let's get back to the phone. So throughout the interviews, or maybe it was a separate interview that was done with Nancy Grace and Brandon Tatum, who interviewed the boys, there was mention of the fact that the boys were able to show Tatum some photos and pictures and videos and what have you, which Nancy pushed for more, specificity, because she's like, well, I thought there was no reception. Right? So all that to say, it seems like there was reception, even if limited. There was some sort of connection, but for whatever reason, there was information that just wasn't on Nolan's phone. And I think I don't have kids. I'll say it again. I don't have kids, but I think teenagers like to be on their phones. So it's odd to me that there would be nothing on the phone at all, right? But go ahead and listen to this play out for yourself and let me know what you think.
Okay, back to Officer Tatum, star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube. Did the young men you interviewed, I believe it was 4 of them, state that Nolan did not have reception, or did they explain why there are no pictures, texts, instas, nothing on his phone? Did they have an explanation for that?
Yes, ma'am. They didn't mention anything about whether Nolan had service or not, but they articulated the reason why Nolan may not have, certain pictures on his phone. And they had mentioned because Nolan spent the night at their house the night before, because it's traditional for the last few years that they actually went to Horn Island together. But they were saying that they had taken pictures at the house. Some of the pictures that you've seen floating around online were pictures that they took on the boat, but they didn't take those pictures when they got out there to Horn Island, because they were having fun. And I would argue that they were drinking, and I couldn't imagine that they want to get underage drinking on camera. So what they had articulated to me that it wasn't abnormal for people not to snap and not to do a lot of pictures and things like that because they were focused on
But you
being
told me
off of the
they
main
showed you pictures and videos.
Yeah,
So
but
they
it's
did
not
take pictures
uploaded.
and videos.
No. It's not a lot of pictures and they weren't uploaded. So when you're talking about Snapchat, you're talking about a platform where people are uploading images and pictures to produce to the world. What they showed me were things that they had recorded on their phone, and it wasn't a lot of different things because most of what they did was drinking and having fun in the water. And so, what they had articulated to me as well is that it's not abnormal for people not to snap. It's not abnormal for you not to have your phone. And Nolan wasn't the only person that left his phone on the boat. They also mentioned to me, and you can see it in the interview that they did, was that they had no reason to touch Nolan's phone. They weren't thinking about Nolan's phone when they thought the boat was sinking. And when they got to the house, it was no incident when it comes to Nolan getting the phone back to the friend and parent.
You're going far afield from my question. Let me redirect you back to their phones. Nolan has nothing on his phone. They have pictures and videos on their phones. You told me that they exist, whether they posted them or not. So they were taking pictures and videos. Don't you see why Nolan's mom is concerned there's nothing on her son's phone?
Well, Nancy, it's unclear exactly what the mother is articulating because at one point she's concerned that there's not a lot of Snapchats or social media posting. He did not articulate, or the Benjamin Crump did not mention that there's nothing on his phone. So they're not saying that the phone was wiped and there's no images or anything. She was concerned about his social media frequency, which I believe after talking to the boys, it was consistent with what they said, and it was consistent with basic deductive reasoning that maybe he didn't post a lot on that day. So what remains a focus for me, and if I was investigating this
Not
case,
talking about
I
posting.
would want to know.
Not talking
I
about
would
whether
want
he
to know.
posted, officer.
No,
He didn't
what
even
I'm
take
saying is
anything.
that
There's no pictures, there's
no,
no anything.
that's what the mom is saying, but we haven't had an opportunity to either see or hear exactly what she's trying to articulate. Some of the things that she said in the media is that she's talking about posting. I don't believe she said that there was nothing at all on his phone, no pictures, no nothing. But I wasn't able to verify that. So if I was able to see Nolan's phone and the mother was able to show me exactly what she's articulating, I'll be able to have a better perspective in comparison to what Warren and the other boys were telling me. So at this point, I only have one side of it, and then I have a fractured perception from what the media or what the mother is saying in the media. So when the police officers look at his phone and they do a forensic extraction, if they're allowed to do that, they will see plainly if Nolan was on his phone, if he had taken pictures, and if they were deleted. Now, I'll implement this as we begin to try to guess and figure out what was happening on that day. It doesn't seem to be reasonable to suggest that the boys were in his phone deleting things. Now, after hanging out with the boys and getting to know them well, they're very intelligent young men, very savvy, and they were raised well. I would project, if I were to make an assumption, that if they were trying to cover up something that happened to Nolan, I would perceive that they would throw the phone in the water or something where it never would be recovered. Or if they had access to get into the phone, they wouldn't just delete, they would just completely rewrite the phone or, do a hard reset. Or they wouldn't give the phone back to mama or the family anyway. So with those factors put in place and what I've talked to them about, it seems as if their story seems consistent to me, that they did not get in the phone. They did not know his password. They had no reason to believe that there was a necessity to get in the phone,
Officer,
and they gave it
I'm
over
not
to the
saying you're wrong. I'm saying I'm not taking anybody's word for anything until I investigate it and corroborate it. Again,
That's fair.
maybe they're completely innocent. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Or maybe someone else had something to do with Nolan's death. I don't know, but I will find out. And you said, I don't know what she said exactly. Well, here is what Nolan's mother said.
When we opened it up, there was nothing. There were no saved pictures, There were no snaps from that day, and we did open it before the 24-hour expiration. So we found that very concerning, only because anyone who's ever been around Nolan will tell you at social gatherings, he's taking videos, he's taking pictures, he's even come up to me when I'm getting ready to go to bed. Hey, Ma, come on, take a picture of me. You know, like that was Nolan. So that's why we feel that things may have been deleted, was because of the fact that there was nothing in either one of his accounts.
Okay, you guys, I think we're going to stop our video into Nolan Wells right here and right now, because in the next video on Nolan, we're going to talk about the interviews and give you my opinions on the friends of Nolan Wells's statements and just some things that I found interesting about those interviews, okay? But that's going to be it for right now. It is sad and disappointing that I don't have much more to share. I'm sure there's a lot of more information that's floating around in the ethera. But again, I'm trying to limit what I share with you guys to what I've been able to either confirm or verify or whatever. I don't want to just have this be a channel where I'm just sharing unverified gossip, right? So that's that. So this is going to be a short video. Let's see in the next video on Nolan what I have to tell you guys specifically as to his friends' interviews and my opinions on it. But that's that for now. Pause. If you like this video, can you please tell me you like it? I think I told you guys before, but I have memberships now. If you want videos like these at least 24 hours sooner than everyone else, can you just go ahead and become a member? Be an Esquire. Esquire memberships are $4.99 per month, and you'll get videos like these 24 hours sooner than everyone else. That said, like the video, comment, subscribe to my channel, consider becoming a member, okay? As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, y'all take care.